So Sony Pictures have officially announced Into the Spider-Verse 2, due for release in 2022. So it's going to be a while yet until we see the actual film, and I'd imagine it's going to be quite a while until we get any new information regarding it. But what we do have is a brief teaser showcasing a number of different variations of Miles Morales' iconic chest spider symbol, with many speculating what these different symbols could mean. Now personally, I don't think these symbols are anything to go by, but there's obviously a lot of speculation that we'll be seeing the Japanese Spider-Man, that we'll be seeing Tom Holland in it to some capacity. But I instead kind of want to make a wish list of things I want to see in Into the Spider-Verse 2. Now, please be advised, just because I want to see these things, that doesn't mean I won't accept anything but these things. Just because I already have an idea in mind right now, that doesn't mean it's not going to change later down the line, and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to accept what we get in the end, because inevitably, it's probably going to be very different to my own ideas. But I've just kind of drafted up some vague ideas of a story, possibly, and some different things I'd like to see in there. And this isn't going to be massively detailed, this is not a full film pitch or a full idea pitch, this is just a little discussion. So sit back, relax, subscribe. We're going to be talking about Into the Spider-Verse 2. And this is 11 things I would like to see in the sequel. Number 1, I would like to see a proper follow-up to the after credits featuring the 60s animated Spidey and Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of 2099. I think up until Spider-Man Far From Home dropped that absolute bombshell of an after credits on us, this was my favorite after credits sequence in any comic book movie, because it's hilarious, it's nostalgic, and it's really exciting. And I'd love to see Miguel O'Hara and 60s animated Spider-Man become part of the main cast for this one. Much like what we had with Spider-Man Noir and Penny Parker and Peter Porker, I would love to see Miguel O'Hara and 60s Peter Parker join the team. Having a Spider-Man come from a futuristic world could surely introduce a very exciting new dynamic, more exciting yet, bringing us the most primitive Spider-Man we could possibly have. Although I believe there was a Shakespearean Spider-Man, maybe he could get a cameo. Maybe we could have like a character dynamic between Miguel O'Hara and 60s Peter Parker, that Miguel O'Hara keeps making fun of how primitive he is, and then during some kind of massive Spidey showdown, Miguel O'Hara becomes face-to-face with the Shakespearean Spider-Man. And then we could get kind of a "you're not so primitive after all" sort of a thing. Number 2. Make use not only of the other Spider-Men, but the other dimensions that they come from. Into the Spider-Verse, the first movie, it took place very much in Miles Morales' dimension, and we saw the other Spider-People go into that dimension, but we didn't see anything vice versa. I think if we're going to include 60s animated Peter Parker and Miguel O'Hara, it makes sense to traverse some other dimensions to see how these different Spider-People react to the different worlds that they come from. And it would certainly make for a larger scale sequel. They got really expressive with the animation in the previous film. Imagine how expressive they could get if you change up the entire setting. Number 3. One thing Into the Spider-Verse did incredibly well was keeping the main core Spidey team relatively small. And while I'd definitely love to see more Spider-People in this, I'd definitely say relegate some cameo roles in there, for one particular set piece in the film. But to keep that Spidey team relatively small, but with the inclusion of Miguel O'Hara and 60s Peter Parker, I would say relegate characters like Penny Parker, Peter Parker Noir, or Peter Porker to just cameos to make way for a larger scale plot, while retaining Peter B. Parker, Miles Morales, and Gwen Stacy as the lead characters. Number 4. I want to see Superior Spider-Man in this film, but rather than have him alongside Peter Parker and working with the Spider-People, make Superior Spider-Man the main antagonist of the film. Begin the film with Peter B. Parker battling Doc Ock on death's door, and then have the mind swap where Peter Parker would die in Doc Ock's body as the film's introduction. You could even have it begin with the, okay, let's do this one last time thing, but using Peter B. Parker's voice, but then we could slowly establish that this is the Superior Spider-Man, not the one we know and love. The music could all start out as we expected the last time, but it could grow more and more twisted. This would be a good way to lull the audience into a false sense of security at the intro, while quickly sweeping the rug from under their feet, and would make for an opening sequence that would definitely get people talking. But I'd also say, leave that out of the trailers. But then again, this is a Sony Pictures movie, they will include it in the trailers. Number 5. I think it is proven at this stage that multiple villains in a Spider-Man movie can actually work to its advantage, if done right. I mean, put it this way, Spider-Man Homecoming featured Vulture, Shocker, two versions of the Shocker in fact, the Tinkerer, as well as early versions of the Prowler and the Scorpion. Into the Spider-Verse featured Kingpin, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, the Prowler, Scorpion, Hammerhead, you name it. Spider-Man Far From Home features Mysterio, and appearances from Molten Man, Sandman, Hydro Man. They may not be necessarily playing the roles that they played in the comic books, but they are still included to some capacity. So as well as the inclusion of Doc Ock's Superior Spider-Man, I think a good catalyst for the universe ripping open once again would be Mysterio of the Earth 616 Peter B. Parker's world. But as well as this, I would love to include a Mysterio in Miles Morales' world that is quite different to the Mysterio of Peter B. Parker's. Something more Ultimate inspired. And then we could have the twist of the connection between the two Mysterios, much like we did in Spider-Men, the graphic novel, in that Mysterio of Miles' world is an avatar used by the Mysterio of Peter B. Parker's world. Mysterio is probably a villain that's really good to utilize for any kind of wacky, zany, multi-dimensional story like this. I mean, Mysterio was also the main villain of the Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions video game. Perhaps Mysterio's motivations in this film could be similar to what they were in the Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions video game. Turn his illusions into reality, utilizing the power of his interdimensional avatar. And because Mysterio can create illusions, it would mean that we'd have a lot of different things for the different Spider people to face, leading to some truly awesome action sequences, and more opportunities for expressive animation. Number 6. Have Superior Spider-Man indecisive between whether or not to save the universe or help Mysterio destroy it. Have multiple occasions where he's low-key trying to sabotage the other Spider people, but have him begin to change heart during the film's second act. Establish that he's actually learning a thing or two from the other Spider people, that he thought he knew everything, but have him start to kind of bend. Also, do not pass up an opportunity to have him meet the Doc Ock of Miles Morales' world. A character dynamic between Superior Spider-Man and Olivia Octavius could be so interesting. There's no one Doc Ock loves in the world more than himself, so imagine him meeting Olivia Octavius and establishing kind of a love interest there. It could kind of add a slight tragic element to it when they can't be together because naturally, Superior Spider-Man can't last forever. Maybe even consider one of them traversing to the other universe to live with the other. We could also have Superior Spider-Man being very unimpressed by the future tech seen in Miguel O'Hara's universe, thinking he just knows better all the time. Number 7. Like in the original Superior Spider-Man comic series, include the original Peter B. Parker memory manifestation phantom trying to contact the other Spider people, and Doc Ock trying to eliminate this and sabotage Peter B. Parker from returning to his own body. We could turn Superior Spider-Man and this Phantom into a little comedic duo, and only he can hear the Phantom. And the other Spider people often wonder, why is Peter B. Parker talking to himself? Number 8. Have Peter B. Parker successfully contact the other Spider people to warn them, and have the other Spider people battle Superior Spider-Man. A fight between conventional Spider people and a teched out Super Genius Spider-Man could be seriously interesting. And I really like the idea of Doc Ock learning something from the other Spider people about who the real Superior Spider-Man is between him and Peter B. Parker, and him considering reversing the body swap, but just not knowing how until after the final battle, where Doc Ock would finally step up and save the multiverse before willingly surrendering his body back to Peter. Number 9. So naturally, Doc Ock's antics in Peter's body haven't really helped matters with Mary Jane, but the other Spider people step up for him and help explain the truth to MJ. They have each other's backs, of course, and I think that was such a pivotal thing in the previous Spider-Verse movie. You've got to have that key component of the different Spider people looking after each other back in this one as well. They are, of course, like family at the end of the day. Number 10. I want the third act final battle to be a massive showdown involving as many different Spider people as we can possibly imagine, taking on a fleet of Mysterio illusions, as well as battling the very overpowered Mysterio avatar, but then finally taking down old Fishbowl Head himself with a certain degree of ease. Number 11. I would really love to see cameos for Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. If the actors aren't returning for this film, at least include the costumes to some capacity. I'd say it's an easy pick for the costume for Tobey Maguire because, well, just the red and blue that they've generally used throughout all three movies, but definitely go for the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit for Andrew Garfield to kind of juxtapose him better with Raimi Spider-Man and Peter B. Parker. And as for Tom Holland, I'd say probably go for the Far From Home suit because, well, it's probably the most distinctive Spider-Man suit we've ever had. So those are 11 things I would love to see in Into the Spider-Verse 2, but of course, the film is in very early development stages, and I would say, you know, it's too soon to make any kind of assumptions about the film, and I'm sure I'm gonna love whatever they bring us. I mean, color me stoked. I'm so excited to see the next chapter of this animated Spider-Man universe, and to be honest, this is why I always want Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures to kind of share Spider-Man, as opposed to it just going to Marvel Studios, because it means that we can get great Into the Spider-Verse films, as well as the really great Marvel Studios Spider-Man movies. Well, what do you guys think of my ideas, and share with me some ideas of your own. Comment below and discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and in the description below are links to my Patreon and my Discord. Stay tuned for some unique offers and promos. Oh hey gang, look at this! Channel Goat is back! But he's got bad news. His computer was hacked by the Adzinko gang, and they leaked his private information. And now his goat cojones are there for everybody to see. Ah man, that's quite a predicament you got there, Channel Goat. And the thing is, you're not the only one. Do you know how many people get hacked per year and have their personal information and data spread online for all to see? A lot. Like, look it up. And I know what the rest of you are thinking. It hasn't happened to me, yet. Well, emphasis on yet. I mean, how old are you? Right, now how long is the average human lifespan? That's a lot of time that you could get hacked in. And by the time that's done, everybody is gonna know what your pee-pee looks like. Do you really want that? Do you really want the world to see your pee-pee? You run that risk every single day, guys. Seriously, hackers, pretty talented people. Which is why I, for one, use NordVPN to protect my private information and my Nords. It shuffles your data so that it can't be found by hackers, but not only that, it can also unlock the worldwide range of Netflix. And like, who wouldn't want that, right? Now you can really maximize your subscription. The fact is, guys, you could save yourself the stress and a lawsuit by simply browsing with NordVPN. And I've made it easy for you. A link is in the description below. And this subscription comes with a promise. Nobody has to know what you're into anymore. You little furry you. Anyway, sign up today. Seriously, do it. Please? For your sweet little puppy. This video is brought to you by Zentai for all your cosplay needs. Link is in the description below and they are very cool and good. Cosplay your favorite characters or send in one of your own designs. Affordable prices and very high quality. Made to order and made to measure. But most of all, made to be heckin' awesome, if you couldn't already tell. Guys, can you believe where we are now and where we started? How long ago it was that Channel Pup, or Channel Goat even, came about? Because it really wasn't that long when you think about it. Can you believe the amount of support I've received from this community, from all of you subscribing to the channel and everything? It's unreal. It's a dream come true for me. But behind the YouTubers you watch usually comes a bit of a truth, is that they're often dirt poor. Now, I've had the good fortune of being able to grow this YouTube channel and hopefully turn it into a career, but I'm gonna need a little bit of help along the way, to even the odds, to make ends meet, so that I can use all of the possible time that I have to make videos for you guys, as opposed to doing something mundane, for barely enough money to make it worth its while. I've done all that, I've lived that life. The fact is, together we all built Channel Pup, we made it what it is today, and I want to keep the ball rolling on that. I don't ever want to stop doing this, because this is the most gratifying job I've ever had, and I think the most pleasurable hobby anyone could ever have. I don't take any of the support that I receive from you guys for granted, but if in any way you're wondering if maybe you could do a little more for the channel even, then I want to direct you to the Patreon link in the description below. It would mean the world to me to have your support via Patreon. It can help me to make ends meet, it can help me to better my content, it can help me to have more time to really work on this stuff. But you know what, I'm not just gonna take your support and run. No way, Jose. I've in the Patreon, you can access exclusive videos via the Pups Project Room playlist, where you can see different projects that I've been working on or have worked on that have either not made it to YouTube for general viewing or have been cancelled, or, well, you can get a little view of the process that goes behind the Channel Pup videos and productions. As well as that, you tend to get advanced previews of the bigger Channel Pup projects, our tentpole event projects. If you've seen Marvelous Tales of Spider-Man, you'll be aware that that was released on the Patreon first, and 20 days later approximately was released for general viewing on YouTube. That's not the only time I'm gonna do this, but you know what? If you can't do the Patreon or are just not interested in doing the Patreon, I fully understand. Like, it's still a big ask in my opinion, and what counts most is your support. So as always, thank you so much, guys. I've been Channel Pup, and I will think of a better catchphrase next time. Now please leave me alone!